Let's get straight to the point. It's 2:34 a.m. when the encrypted phone buzzes 3 times. You know what that means? 3 buzzes. Emergency protocol. Your handler never breaks protocol unless something's gone catastrophically wrong. You stare at the ceiling of your Moscow apartment, listening to your girlfriend's steady breathing beside you. She thinks you're a financial consultant for an oil company. She has no idea you've spent the last 5 years inside. It's the most sophisticated money laundering network in Eastern Europe. The message is just 2 words. Extraction. Tonight. Your stomach drops. Extraction wasn't supposed to happen for another 8 months. You were so close. It's more transactions, and you'd have the entire network mapped. Every politician, every banker, every shell company from London to Dubai. But extraction means one thing. They know. You have 40 minutes to disappear forever. Eerie wind. To 2018. You're 26 years old with a PhD in applied mathematics from MIT and exactly $127,000 in student debt crushing your soul. You're working at a hedge fund in Manhattan, building algorithms that predict market movements. The pay is decent, $95,000 a year, but you're just another code monkey in a glass tower, watching billionaires get richer off your equations. Then one Thursday afternoon, a woman in an expensive suit sits across from you at a coffee shop you've never seen her in before. She doesn't introduce herself. She just slides a folder across the table. Inside, photos of you, your apartment, your route to work, your favorite lunch spot, your ex-girlfriend from college, everything. We've been watching you for 14 months, she says calmly. You have a very specific skill set we need. You should be terrified. Instead, you're curious, she explains. There's a network moving $800 million monthly through cryptocurrency exchanges, art auctions, real estate deals, and offshore accounts. It's funding terrorism, arms deals, human trafficking, the entire dark economy of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Traditional agents can't penetrate it because it's not run by thugs with guns. It's run by PhD economists and tech geniuses. People like you, they need someone who can think like them, operate like them, become one of them. The offer: $180,000 annually, tax-free, full protection, new identity when it's over, and the chance to dismantle something truly evil. The catch: survival rate for deep cover operatives and financial networks is 23%. Most don't die violently, they just disappear. Suicides staged as accidents. Overdoses that look natural. Falls from balconies. The network is sophisticated about eliminating threats. You ask the most important question: why me? She smiles for the first time. Because you're bored. And bored mathematicians do dangerous things. She's right. You say yes. Before the coffee gets cold, months in a facility that officially doesn't exist. You learn Russian until you dream in it. You study behavioral psychology, how to read micro-expressions, how to lie without triggering subconscious. Tells how to build a legend so deep you start believing it yourself. But the hardest part isn't the languages or the tradecraft. It's learning to suppress empathy. They show you footage of what the network funds. Villages bombed by weapons they financed, children trafficked through routes they control, journalists murdered for investigating them. Then they teach you something crucial. You can't save everyone. If you try, you'll blow your cover and save no one. You practice something called moral triage, deciding in real time who lives and who dies based on strategic value. It's horrifying. It's also necessary. Your legend, Dmitri Volkov, a crypto genius who got fired from a Moscow tech startup for insider trading, bitter, brilliant, and for sale to the highest bidder. The perfect recruit. Your insertion is beautiful in its simplicity. The CIA engineers your arrest at a Moscow airport for attempting to smuggle $400,000 in Bitcoin hardware wallets. The case gets dropped due to insufficient evidence, but not before the network's recruiters notice you in the news. Genius with loose morals and technical skills? That's exactly what they're hunting for. 3 weeks later, you get an email. A job offer from a consulting firm that doesn't appear in any business registry you're in. The office looks legitimate. Glass walls, espresso machine, Herman Miller chairs. It could be any tech startup in Moscow. Except the products you're building are financial tunnels that launder blood. Money. Your job. Design algorithms that fragment large transactions into thousands of micropayments that slip past regulatory detection. It's technically fascinating. Morally repulsive. You work alongside 11 other specialists, former mathematicians, ex-bankers, coders who burned out at Google and Facebook. Nobody asks about each other's past. That's the rule. Your first month, you pass minor intel to your handler. Office location, employee names, basic operational structure. Nothing that would trigger suspicion if discovered. Month 3. You meet the architect, the man who built the entire system. He's 52, looks like a university professor, speaks 4 languages, and has personally structured transactions funding 3 civil wars. He looks at your work and nods approvingly. You think like a criminal, but code like an engineer, he says. That's rare. You smile and say thank you. Inside, you're memorizing every word for your next dead drop report. Month 9, they trust you. Enough to show you level 2, the real operation. The office you've been working in is just one node. There are 34 identical offices across 19 countries, all processing different pieces of the same network. No single office knows the full picture, except the architect, and now you. Year 2, the first CHL, 2. Why her name is Katya, she's a junior. Analyst, 23 years old, fresh out of Moscow State University. Brilliant with blockchain forensics. She sits 3 desks away and makes terrible jokes about cryptocurrency. One Tuesday, she doesn't show up for work. Nobody mentions it. That's when you know. Your handler confirms it 3 days later. Katya was. Gee, are you Russian military intelligence running their own parallel investigation? The network discovered her. They found her in a hotel room in Prague. Official cause of death, heroin overdose. Katya never touched drugs in her life. You attend her funeral. You shake hands with her mother. You express condolences while knowing. You could have warned her. You'd noticed her patterns changing 3 weeks earlier. The nervous tics, the odd questions. But warning her would have exposed you. The math was simple. Save one person and lose the entire operation. Or let her die and save potentially thousands. You chose the mission. That night, you vomit for 2 hours. Because quitting means Katya died for nothing. Year 3. Becoming what you pretend to be. This is the year you start forgetting who you really are. You've been Dmitri Volkov longer than you've been yourself. You think in Russian first now. You date a girl named Irina who works in fashion and knows nothing about your real job. You celebrate Orthodox Christmas. You complain about American foreign policy like every other Muscovite. The money helps. New toe pays exceptionally well. You're making $340,000 annually, real money, not your CIA salary. You have an apartment with heated floors, a BMW, tailored suits. You go to restaurants where appetizers cost $200. Your handler notices the change in your reports. Your language is shifting. You write we when referring to the network instead of they. She sends a coded warning. Remember your primary identity. But here's the terrifying truth. You're not sure you can anymore. Dmitri Volkov feels more real than the person you were before. That person seems like a character you played in another life. This is called deep cover syndrome. It happens to every operative who stays under too long. Your brain can't sustain 2 complete identities indefinitely. One eventually dominates. The question is which one? EAR4. The moment you almost switch SIDS, the architect invites you to his dacha outside Moscow. This is significant. He's never socialized with employees before. You're moving up over Georgian? Wine and grilled sturgeon. He tells you his philosophy. The world is run by hypocrites. Western governments lecture about human rights while bombing civilians. Banks lecture about ethics while laundering cartel money. At least we're honest about what we are. He's not wrong. You've seen the classified reports. You know how much dirty money flows through legitimate Western banks. You know which politicians took which bribes. The architect continues. You could work for their system and pretend it's noble, or work for our system and get properly compensated. The net morality is the same, only the pay is different. For about 40 seconds, you seriously consider it. What stops you isn't patriotism or ideology, something simpler. You remember Katya's mother crying at the funeral? You remember the footage from Training of the Village destroyed by weapons this network financed? The math isn't the same. The scale matters. You smile and toast to his philosophy, but you don't switch sides. Not yet. Year 5, the intelligence. BRAKTH Chew. Finally get access to Olympus, the master database. Only 4 people in the entire network have this access. It contains everything, every transaction, every account, every political contact, every route, every safe house. Years of work culminates in one 47-minute window when you're alone in the server room. You copy 4.7 terabytes of data onto a device disguised as a phone charger. This is enough to dismantle the entire operation. Agencies across 12 countries can use this to execute coordinated strikes. You pass it to your handler at a prearranged exchange, a bathroom in a shopping mall where dead drops happen in the toilet tank. The CIA calls it the most significant financial intelligence coup in 30 years. You expect extraction immediately. Instead, they tell you to stay in place. They want to time the takedown for maximum impact. Catch everyone simultaneously before anyone can warn the others. For more months, your handler says, "Can you hold?" You say yes. You're not sure it's true. 3 buzzes. Extraction. Tonight, you check the secure channel for details. What you read makes your blood freeze. The architect discovered the breach. He doesn't know who yet, but he's initiated protocol. Omega's systematic elimination of anyone with Olympus access. 2 colleagues were killed in the last 18 hours. You're next on the list. You have 40 minutes before a team arrives at your apartment. Irina is sleeping beside you. You've been with her 14 months. She thinks you're going to propose soon. She doesn't know your real name. She doesn't know anything. You. Write a note, something vague about a family emergency, and you leave. Forever, the extraction is chaos. Safe houses, identity swaps, a cargo plane from a military airfield, then nothing.
Ow.
You cease to exist. Dmitri Volkov disappears.
Nice.
The person you were before doesn't exist anymore either. You become someone entirely new, a name you don't recognize on a passport from a country you've never visited. 3 months later, the AFTA Armada coordinated takedown happens simultaneously across 19 countries, 127 arrests, $2.3 billion in assets seized, the network collapses, the architect escapes. Last intelligence puts him somewhere in Southeast Asia. Rebuilding, you're in a witness protection equivalent, living in a small city in Canada, with a government job doing financial compliance. It's mind-numbingly boring. You miss the adrenaline, like an addict misses the high. Your therapist, CIA assigned, says you're experiencing operational grief, mourning the loss of your cover identity. Dmitri Volkov was alive in a way you're not anymore. Sometimes you check Russian news sites. You find Irina's social media. She's engaged to someone new, a lawyer. Looks happy. She posted once about how her ex disappeared without explanation. But she's moved on. You saved thousands of lives by dismantling that network. You also destroyed every real relationship you had for 5 years, lost your identity, and can never go back. The math worked. The cost was everything. The question that won't go AWA, was it worth it? You think about Katya, the woman you let die to preserve your cover? Oh. You think about the villages that won't be bombed because the weapons aren't being financed anymore. You think about the trafficked children who won't enter that pipeline. The moral calculus is impossible. You traded specific deaths for statistical lives saved, but statistics don't have mothers who cry at funerals. On good days, you tell yourself you did something that mattered. On bad days, which is most days, you're not sure you can tell the difference between who you were, who you pretended to be, and who you actually became. Your therapist asks, if you could go back, would you do it again? You don't answer. Because the honest truth is, you don't know who would be making that choice. The person you were before would say yes. Dmitri Volkov would say no. And the person you are now, you're just a ghost haunting the space between two dead identities, wondering if the math actually worked out after all. Deactivated after extraction buzzes once at 3:17 a.m. New message. The architect knows where you are. He's given you a choice. Work for him or join Katya. You stare at the ceiling. Your new girlfriend sleeps peacefully beside you. She thinks you're a compliance officer with boring spreadsheet problems. The phone buzzes again. You have 12 hours. And just like that, you realize something terrifying. You never really left at all.